And you'll see on your movies and stuff, it's not that far away. We had a beach and then the mountain. And it took us 4 days to get up the mountain. Okay? And so, and once we were up there, we were like, yay, we thought it was one, but then they kind of got us and tricked us, and they were hidden, which you'll again see in the movies and whatnot. And that's right, it was called bonsai, but we didn't just like, even though we were kind of like, yay, we're done, whatever, and then they started fighting, we were able to jump right into it again and just keep going, because that's kind of the mentality of the Marines. The different types of people, kind of like what Ms. Kim said earlier, like, if you want to do something, you can do it, here. A lot of times people will say, I want to do this, like electrician or whatever. They may not pick the Marine Corps. They may pick the Navy or the Air Force or, something where it's like they can do the job. Because here's the one thing about, what do all branches of service have in common?
They have multiple jobs.
Yes, but what else is more important than that?
They all work together.
What do they all share in their name? They're all, it says U.S., right? U.S. Army, U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Navy, U.S. Air Force. So it's all one big giant team. We tease each other because it's like being in a family, right? You tease your brothers and sisters and stuff, right? Don't say you don't. I'm a parent, okay? So it's the same concept. It's just our family is a little bit bigger, right? We're veterans. We've been there. We served. But in reality, it all says U.S. in front of all our names, right? U.S., like I said, U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Navy, U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force. And so we each have that job. And by everybody doing that job helps in the big, great picture. If you have a specific job, you're no real less important than anybody else. Your job plays a different aspect or a different part in the great big picture, because when we go to war, who do we want to win? Us, right? We want our team to win. We want America. And whoever is our ally. Does anybody know what the word ally means? You know what the word ally means?
Ally means when you have someone by your side, or when you're, like in war, you have someone by your side shooting when you're down.
Right. You want to expound on it a little bit? What?
They're like your friends.
They're friends.
They won't shoot against you.
Right.
They'll help you.
And so we could have,
they're like your teammates.
Say like England could be our ally, or France could be our ally. They're a different country, but they're not fighting against us. They're fighting with us. Does that make sense?
So it could also be Boston.
No, Boston is a city. It's in America.
Philippines is a U.S. ally.
Yeah. Do what?
Philippines is the
Philippines is a U.S. ally. Absolutely. Canada is a U.S. ally.
Yay!
So, anyways,
Germany a U.S. ally?
they are now. Unfortunately, they weren't back in history, but that's okay. They are now, and that's the most important thing, right? That's the most important.
I am a German.
You are now. So speaking of Iwo Jima, right? We mentioned it earlier today. That famous picture. How many flags was that picture? Do you know?
Oh, she just whispered 2.
Did she? The second one. That's absolutely correct. That was the second flag that was raised. Does anybody know why? What?
They did it the first time they did it. It was kind of wrong, so they had to do it again.
No, but close, but not really. Right?
Their flag got tore up.
No.
they couldn't because they were fighting.
No.
Because the flag was too small.
No. I will not let my personal opinion come into this answer. A politician wanted that flag. And because the Marines had just fought 4 days to put it up, one of the colonels was like, he is not getting that flag. Go raise another flag and he can have that one.
Awesome.
And so the Marines were given a second flag. They went up there. They took the first flag down. Do you know what you do when you take the flag down? You never let it touch the ground. Ever.
Yeah.
And then, what do you think you do?
Raise it back when you're done.
Fold it.
You fold it.
Fold it. Great job. You're on point. You fold it up, right? Never let it touch the ground. You fold it up. And then they raised the second flag. And that's the infamous picture that we know today, which has the monument, which I've personally been to that monument in DC. So if you ever get a chance, it's pretty spectacular.
Were they under gunfire both times they put the flag up?
No.
Oh.
The first time they were, because they were like, we got up here and we got it up. But then it kind of died down. Then once they got it up, then afterwards they received gunfire. But not as they were throwing it up.
But in the movie, it said they fought for more days.
They did. It went on for like a whole nother month. Because that's when a lot of enemies are smart, and they had tunnels and caves that we're not aware of.
Did you say that the photograph is of the second flag raising?
Yes.
Okay.
We are talking about the American flag
Yes.
and what other flag?
No, there are two American flags.
Oh.
So on Mount Suribachi, because the island is kind of shaped like a giant weird eggplant, and on the very tip of it is Mount Suribachi, and that's where because their idea was to cut that off like a head. Mm-hmm. The whole reason for taking Iwo Jima, the island, was because that would give us, more of their ground, and it was getting closer and closer to the mainland Japan. But two, that was one of their main airfields. Yeah. That was one of Japan's main airfields. And so if we take it away from them, they can't use it. Now, we use that kind of technology and thought process in many of our wars. Okay? We all love Maddie and her family. But when we fought Germany, we won because we took out their supply lines. So we figured that same thought process, if we take away their number one airfield, because we were having kamikaze attacks where airplanes would crash into our boats, and they would kill themselves, but they would take out many of our people. So if we took out their airfield, their main airfield, that would hurt them, which in fact it did. Once we eventually took over Iwo Jima, we were able to take away that. They couldn't use it anymore. So therefore they couldn't attack us as much and as often as they did, and which eventually led to the end of the war.
When you said there's a beach and a mountain, it actually was volcano ash.
It's still a beach, because do you know what a beach is?
Sand.
No. It's just a land that touches water. So it could be dirt, it's still a beach.
Or rocks.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, I'm going to tie it up, finish it up with this. Does everybody know what patriotism means?
Patriot?
Okay. Patriotism is a love for your country, right? It's a love to do what you want to do and serve your country.
Roll down.
That's in Super Bowl Patriots.
Do what?
In Super Bowl Patriots. That was one of the teams.
Awesome.
You ain't got
I
Patriots.
love it. Thank you very much.
And they always win.
I decided when I graduated, before I graduated high school actually, I actually signed up with the Marine Corps before I even got out of high school. But I chose to serve my country because I love being an American. I wanted to give back and give my opportunity to use as needed. And I did go to war, but not like what you see in the movies. I wasn't a door kicker. There were Marines that did that, but I wasn't one of them. I worked on an aircraft, so we gave air support. And so, like I said, my time overseas was spent with the Navy on an aircraft carrier, which is a big giant boat where I got pictures over there, can answer all kinds of cool questions and show you all kinds of cool stuff. But the patriotism, again, is a love for your country. So if you guys want to have a thought process in your head one day of maybe being patriotic and serving your country, as Miss Kim said, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do, and that you can use that time, and it will help accelerate who you are as an adult. Like me, I can honestly say that I would not be a fraction of the person I am today if I did not go to the Marine Corps and join the military. Everybody that knows me knows I'm a Marine. My kids know it. I love it. And I'm like, it is what it is. We had a big part in the wars that we fought in Iwo Jima, but as did every other branch of service, except the Air Force, because they weren't invented yet. So they were still part of the Army at the time. They'll try to claim for that, but they really weren't here yet. So we just, we enjoy them anyways.
Yeah.
Any questions?
What's the time? Do you have a question?
Were the U.S. Marines were in the attack at Pearl Harbor?
Marines were, because again, where there's Navy, there's Marines. The Navy and Marines are close together. Like now, the Air Force and the Army are close together because the Air Force was once the Army Air Corps, and then they separated them. So we're a department of the Navy, so we're with them a lot. So there were Marines in Pearl Harbor, but the majority of the people were Navy because it was a naval base there in Hawaii.
Tell them what you told me about, you don't go to fight trouble. Remember?
Oh, okay, so like what Miss Nicole is talking about is that like when you're there, when you're in those situations in wartime, I never thought of, I know this is gonna sound a little bit weird, but please try to understand. I'll explain it the best I can. You don't think about the people here. You think about those that you're serving with, that you're fighting with. Yes, I thought about my family. Yes, I thought about my country, but there's some people in this country that may be labeled a bad person or whatever. I wasn't there for every single person in America. I was there for my comrades that I was serving with, because you have to watch out for them because they'll watch out for you. I thought about my family. I thought about my friends. I thought about, like the goodness of the USA, but I didn't think about like all the adults in this room right now. I didn't even know my wife at the time, so I wasn't thinking about her.
Did
I
it
didn't
matter
know Miss
what
Kim.
president?
Do what?
Did it matter what president?
It did not matter what president. The president of the United States, whether you love him or whether you hate him, is still the president of the United States. And being a patriot kind of says, I love my country. Whatever the status is of my country, it is what it is. I'm proud. I'm not going to pick and choose to be proud of America whenever it suits me the best. I have been to many different countries, and I still love America the best. And, when you're there, you may be upset about some things. You're definitely going to complain about some things. Often. But the whole overall, I'm, like I said, I'm proud.
Because I'm bored right now.
I feel patriotic, and I love the country of America.
So when you're there, you're not fighting out of anger, you're there
No.
fighting for your country.
Definitely not. I personally am anti-murder. I don't think murder is right, but murder is the taking of innocent lives. If somebody was to come into my door and try to harm you guys or harm my family, I would have no problem taking that person out. Like,
Oh, like
it
taking
is
out
what
the
it
trash?
is. Kind of like taking out the trash. I'm not angry. I don't walk around all day being like, I hope I can kill somebody today, because that's not how it is. It's my love
I hope
for my family and my friends that I would do something that is needed to be done. Yes, ma'am.
I remember you talking about the camps just like summer camp. I'm gonna go to summer
That is awesome.
camp. Yeah, and my sister always went to it. But after this year of my summer camp, we're not gonna do that anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Is that right? It's just that reason.
Any more questions?
I have a question. This Marine's job, is it part of their job to do rescue or?
It depends.
Okay.
Because it depends on what type of rescue. For example, back when I was in my younger 20s, there was a girl in the Army named Jessica Lynch who was taken from her unit was attacked, and she was taken a prisoner of war. The Marines were actually sent in to go get her. Reason for that, why were the Marines sent in?
So they just go fish.
But why? What would the president have to do if he sent the army to go get one of their own?
He would have to declare war.
Declare war, because at the time she was taken, it was actually a peaceful time and we were not at war. And so the Marines were sent in to get that, because she did not have to declare war in order to send the Marines in to go get that soldier.
I don't think. Did Japan declare war on America when they attacked? Because I don't.
No, it was already a war. There was already a war going on.
Oh, I thought.
But that was one of the first big. That's what really put us in the World War title,
Okay.
because they attacked us.
Okay.
When is this gonna end?
Never.
Oh, come on.
I'm never, ever, ever. Never gonna end. It's gonna be going on forever.
Yay,
You're gonna be
talk forever.
asleep, and I'm gonna still be in your head.
It's true.
It is true.
Another question.
I forgot to talk about it, but do you want to talk about the Marines and Navy core values?
Yes. Core values are basically integrity first, right? You're not going to. Does anybody know what integrity is before I start talking about it? What?
Like angry?
No, not at all. Integrity. If you what?
Like pushing the limit.
Not quite. If you everybody listen up. If your mom makes some amazing chocolate chip cookies and sets them down on the counter to cool and says, don't touch those because they're cooling and they're for after dinner, and you want to take one really bad, do you?
No.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
At least there's integrity.
Navy.
That's what integrity is.
You go to the Navy.
We have the same core values.
Oh, never mind.
You ask, you don't.
Integrity is doing what's right when nobody's around. Okay? So when your mom says, don't touch these, and then she goes away to a different part of the house to do whatever, and you're staring, you're eyeballing those cookies, but you don't take it, that's integrity. If you do take it, what should you do?
Not eat it.
No, that's the whole take it thing. If you take it, what should you do?
Tell your mommy.
Exactly. Have integrity, do what's right, and tell your mom, say, I couldn't resist. But then you got to butter up and be like, you are the most amazing cookie chef in the world. I couldn't help myself. I was under integrity. So integrity first, right? Always do what's right no matter what. And that can play a big part in war, right? You're not just sometimes you're not just supposed to shoot people. Sometimes what happened, you guys have done some study on this, right? So what happened during these wars?
Cookies.
No, be serious. What?
A lot of people died.
Yes, what did the people who came across, say, Japanese and didn't get killed, what did they end up being?
Dead. Murderers.
Prisoners of war, close. Prisoners of war. They took the other people of the other company, right? So there's going to be some situations where you're not supposed to kill. You're not supposed to shoot somebody if they're unarmed, right? So, integrity first. Always have integrity. Service before self. What does that mean? Service before self.
I think it means like always do what you're supposed to do in your thing, and don't run away or whatever.
Yes, along those lines of what Corbin's talking about. Service before self. You volunteer. All the military is a volunteer basis. You volunteer to go, and when you're overseas fighting or you're overseas doing stuff, you be like, I want to go home. I miss my mom. I miss my dad. I miss my brothers, my sisters, my friends. I miss McDonald's. Whatever the case is, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go home. Well, you volunteered to be there. You put that service before yourself. You finish your time. You do what you're supposed to do. Miss Kim talked about when she was done with her service, she was done. And that's okay. That's her choice. She got to do that because she got to do her service. Right? That little placard right there. Everybody see that on the top shelf?
Yes.
Okay? That means I honorably served my time in the Marine Corps. They say, good job. You did what you're supposed to do. And so when I left and watched America get smaller and smaller and smaller as the boat floated opposite of America, I didn't want to go, but I chose to because I volunteered. So I had my service before my desires of wanting to stay. Okay? So I had what? Integrity, service for self. It's been a long time. What, Henry? When I'm all done.
I thought service before self meant falling a grenade.
No, that does not mean falling a grenade.
Service before self. Like
No.
You sacrifice yourself for others.
Put the needs of your
Yeah.
your fellow Marines before your own needs.
Of your fellow service before. I like how she did that to the leg. She's like, that was great. That's perfect. That was so good. Grenade.
I would expect nothing less from you.
Yeah, we talked about the Marines being brainwashed. That would be a little.
Just a smidge. But next time I see a grenade, I'm doing this. Anyways, does everybody? I'm going to teach you one more thing, and then I'm going to close up. It's Latin. Everybody repeat after me. Semper.
Semper
Fidelis.
Fidelis.
Semper
Semper
Fidelis.
Fidelis.
Semper.
Now say it all together. Semper Fidelis.
Semper Fidelis.
What that means, it's Latin. What that means is always faithful.
I'm always Semper.
Always faithful. That's the Marines' motto. Is Semper Fidelis. It means always faithful. And the rank goes God, country, corps. So we're always faithful to God. And if you are not into that, that's fine. Country, United States of America. Corps, the Marine Corps. And so we have that as in what dictates what we do, our actions. Everything the Marine Corps does has Semper Fidelis mixed into what we're gonna do. We are considered crazy because we will go into situations like what you'll see in the movies of
But I
like
love these
like
things.
Flags of Our Fathers. We watched it. There were boats of Marines. The doors would open, gunfire would erupt, and they would still charge forward.
Excuse me.
It was less than a 50-50 chance of survival. And there were 17, 18, 19-year-old
Elijah.
kids that were doing this. And guess what? In 4 days of nonstop us continuing, we took we took Mount Suribachi, but it took us another month and a half to actually take the whole island. But we didn't stop. We were always faithful. We put our service before ourselves. We didn't go home. We didn't get back on a plane and be like, that's it, I'm out. They continued on and continued on and continued on. And because of it, the war ended eventually because we worked together with our fellow services.
And that we were coach.
If you speak out of turn one more time, you're done.
Um,
So, and because of that, we were able to win the war, right? So, again, I'm proud. I've got some cool stuff over here. Miss Kim got some cool stuff. Please come over, look at things, ask questions. I got a lot of small trinkets. Like I will show the money, but it's very brittle, so you got to be careful. Please don't just grab stuff off the table. I'll be more than happy to show you various different things. And
from here.
anyways,
Everyone
I'm
think
good.
Elbert